Good evening, Southern Fried, Cornbread Nation fans. Good day to be an American, right? Good things happen. Coming on a little later than we normally do. A couple things got in the way, but we're here. We thank you for being here. Late night, not out. Just enjoy being up late and have given us some of your precious time. Thank you so much, Dave in the AM, a.k.a. the Cornbread Man. Thank you, Angry Conservative. I like it. I like it. It's been a good day, been a good Monday. We had a really good Mama Said, but normally I go pretty straight to the MAGA report right after. But there were some conversations with the co-host, and I ran into a technical issue with Podbean, which I have not corrected. I just had to abandon it. I'll have to get with them and figure out what's going on. Normally very reliable. Didn't want to go online. It's not good. Feeds our audio sites. We'll get it. We'll get it. That's always things that happen right before you go live. Some shows we don't use it because we have guests, but when I'm just on, I use it. So I thought it was good to go. It was not. Figured it was storms, but it wasn't. Welcome to all you MAGA folks. And if you're not, that's okay too. P. Hegseth making some cuts. Talked about this about a week ago. 20% across the top. A lot of your 4-star general officers will be shed as they get rid of the bureaucracy at the top of the military and get this force streamlined and optimized, they say. Get the fat cats out of the way, I guess you could say it that way, and get this force ready to roll. They said he's also directed the military to shed an additional 10% of its general and flag officers across the force, which could include any 1-star or above or officer of equivalent Navy rank. There are about 800 general officers in the military, but only 44 of those are 4-star general or flag officers. He has already directed the firings of more than a half dozen 3- and 4-star generals since taking office, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown Jr. Yes, Miss Jen, I recovered. Maybe that's why it took me a little longer to get in the show. He said he aims to to free the military from unnecessary bureaucratic layers. Well, there'll be a fight on their hands, but I don't think they can stop that. The Pentagon is under pressure to slash spending and personnel as part of the broader federal government cuts pushed by the administration and DOJ. We talked about this last week. He wants a leaner and more lethal force to be ready to meet those potential threats that we have in the world. Slashing as many as 1,000 headquarters staff in the Pentagon and shifting personnel to units in the field. I would be willing to say there's probably some early retirements that are going to happen by those who can. If you're a 4-star general, you're probably pretty close anyway. So we'll see. Getting the military ready. The president's been busy. Been announcing a lot of things. We talked about the parade end of last week. Wanted to have the military parade. He's now said that he's going to declare national holidays for winning the 2 world wars. However, this time he's not proposing to rename Veterans Day. He took to his Truth Social platform to declare a national holiday in celebration of the victories of World War I, where the armistice was signed on November 11th, 1918. My grandfather fought in the World War I. And World War II, where the victory date was May 8th, 1945. He says, however, we will not be closing the country for these 2 very important holidays, November 11th and May 8th, World War I and World War II, because we already have too many holidays in America. There are not enough days left in the year. Banks and the U.S. Postal Service are already closed on Veterans Day, given its status as a federal holiday, and some school districts across the country do close. It varies, though, district by district. He had floated the idea of World War holidays on Thursday, renaming May 8th as Victory Day for World War II and November 11th as Victory Day for World War I. But they said they walked that back. They're not going to rename Veterans Day. It would just be an additional proclamation that goes out on that day. So we'll see. I mean, it's good to have it's good to recognize those things. Later wars, we haven't done so well, except in a couple. So I think that's good. Alan Dershowitz says that Harvard will not win their legal fight against the administration, and specifically Donald J. Trump, for him restricting the funds because of their refusal to cooperate and the anti-Semitism and other things they've talked about. The White House has reiterated that no new grants until Harvard meets demands. Now, however, Alan Dershowitz went on to say he thought that some of the research grants should be continue, especially those that are dealing with cancer and things like that. I can understand that. Harvard playing hardball. Let's see who wins. I think the president. I think it's on the president's side. They know they got to clean this up, and he mentions not only the Jewish people but Christians and others who are basically attacked many times on whenever they're trying to have. Hello, Jacob. How you doing, buddy? Looking forward to your interview. But the Harvard needs to protect all those, and they should. It's always, we said this before, it's always a place where the free exchange of ideas should occur. But it's become to where only certain groups can, and others are shouted down and violently shut down. And they also have shut down speakers that have came on campuses there and other places to give speeches. And in some cases, they had to go in and rescue them. This is the type of stuff that must stop. No matter what side of an aisle you're on, what side of the gym you're on, or whatever, this militant type activities on our campuses has to stop. And again, you know, we can use some of these measures to help them hopefully get in line. Uh, it was one particular case, and I was trying to remember who it was. They got trapped at one of these colleges. I don't think it was Harvard on this one. I think it was one of the other ones, Columbia or one of them. And they were trapped for a good while they were beating on the doors. They had some security with them, and they had to call in for a lot of backup to get these people out of there. They were calling for they were afraid for their life. This is the kind of things that has to stop. But it's their fault because they have encouraged by inaction or just turning their head when these things have happened. And so, it should be a place when you're in a commons area, you can set up and have a table. Whether you're pro-life or you're for abortion or whatever, you set up and you should be able to have that opportunity to recruit, to pass along information or whatever. But instead, the jackboots come along and they kick your table over, they pull your hair, they try to rip all your stuff up, cause bodily harm, and nobody does anything. And then they cheer about it, and go marching merrily on. And so you get a one-sided agenda. That shouldn't happen. So I support him in that. But I would tend to think that he needs to be careful about some of the research money as well. So we'll see. Harvard has directed their people not to follow along. They just feel like they don't have it. They're going to sue their way out or something. But Alan Dershowitz said it's not going to work. I suspect some of this will go to the Supreme Court. President Trump today said that U.S. will help people of Gaza get some food. He said that food relief is in the works for the residents of Gaza. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. The last time they were trying to get supplies in there, Hamas was taking the food and shooting at people that were trying to get to the food. It was pretty ugly. They're going to have to figure out a way to do this where they can actually, I don't know who manages that, but it didn't work when they had the temporary dock. They were getting shot at. But he said the people of Gaza can expect some U.S. food assistance. It's heating up. Israel has said that they plan to flatten Gaza if no peace agreement is reached by the time Trump is set to visit Israel May 15th. May 14th is the anniversary of the reestablishment of the nation of Israel, 1948. A lot of people upset, a lot of feelings on both sides of this. There are people that come in our stream and they're very angry. They hate Israel. They don't like what they've done. There's a lot of politicians being shouted down, saying they've supported genocide. It's certainly ugly. There's a lot of folks that are in a bad way, and you're going to have to do something. You can't just it can't continue the way it is. There was some talk, remember, of Gazans being removed and to Somalia and a couple other places. I wouldn't want to be that to be U.S. C-130s or ships. I wouldn't be seen as being deporting or forced deportations of folks, but there was a lot of talk about that with some financial assistance and stuff to these nations and trade opportunities opening up. That sort of died on the vine, or at least it has in the news. Nobody's talked about it much. That one was concerning to me as well. This is always dicey when you're dealing with the Middle East, and I've never hated the fact I'm a supporter of Israel, believe in their right to exist, and want peace in that region. However, Israel has, but heavy-handed at times, yes. But this last one was like, they've been dealing with attack after attack after attack. They came over in the October attack, the 7th attack, and it's been on. We'll say that it's been on, but it is a mess, and it's a humanitarian crisis at this time. But what do you do? I don't think the U.S. should become you know, I don't think we should manage it at all. But how does this go? And how do you root out Hamas and some of the other ones? It's just horrible. It's horrible. Trump mentioned that in this release that Hamas is the real problem. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. That's true. That's what I said. And how do you get the food to the people? I mean, and if you bring in the troops, then it takes a massive amount of troops and equipment to, keep the violence down. Just being, them taking snipers and everything else. And of course, mines. And I don't know at this point. I mean, it looks as though they're just going to continue knocking them down. But where do these people go? I mean, I suggested maybe they go in the Sinai for a while. They could set up some things there and try to rebuild this thing. But this is getting uglier by the day. And everyone that has concerned themselves with the Middle East usually gets bit hard. It never works out. It's just such a dicey thing. There's too many variables on every side. And then there's a spiritual aspect as well. We just know what the scriptures say about those that concern themselves with Jerusalem. I mean, it's a burdensome stone. It's just an ugly, ugly thing, which is pretense for what's coming in the region at some point in the future, as we know, Armageddon. But we're not there. We've got to figure out what to do. So he has offered no specific plan, he being the president, of a plan of action, just that the remaining people of Gaza should expect help. He says, quote, but we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. But again, how do you get Hamas out of there, root them out? They've killed a lot of them, but they're still there. Axios has reported that the Israeli cabinet decided to reoccupy Gaza if a deal isn't completed by May 15th, which is just days away, 10 days, with plans to flatten any building left standing and move the remaining Gaza residents to a single humanitarian area. 3 million? Is that what's in there? I forget the number. It's a lot. And the president, whether rightfully so or not, this is going to be, it's going to lay at his feet. He has to do something. And a lot of politicians the midterms are definitely going to be filled with some of this. This is one of those press points, that pinch points, whatever you want to call it, where it's, you can't please everybody, and somebody's going to be mad, but the press is going to run with it. And so it was already a mess. It's going to be a bigger mess, and they got to figure out something. They need to move as quickly as they can. But the media would absolutely have 24/7 coverage of remaining buildings being flattened and the people being moved along to a singular area. Oh my gosh, what a mess that would be. And again, I think the people are what comes first. I'm not saying it's the politicians, but it's going to affect them. And so it's going to have to be more than food. But Trump's approval rating is still running at about 50%. So hopefully he can wade through this. There's a lot of talk going on. There's things we don't know that's being talked about. But it's not one that I think it has a potential to go downhill. It certainly has crushed the Democrats, many of them, and they're being forced to the sidelines because people are not happy about their inactivity or support of. And of course, Mr. Fetterman, Senator Fetterman, has taken heat for his support of Israel. And as we covered Friday, they're trying to declare him as incompetent or unfit, whereas before they said he was just fine. Now they're trying to bring up all these stories that he's had all these problems and he's just not capable. What, obviously because he supports Israel, there's something wrong with him. So he's a key vote on getting approval on some things. Another one, the administration says that they're going to pay immigrants who came to the United States illegally, who returned to their home country voluntarily, $1,000. Interesting. 3,800 a month to come in, 1,000 if you leave, and then we'll work on getting you back in legally. Interesting to see who takes this up. The Department of Homeland Security said today, they will be also paying for travel assistance and that those who use an app called CBP Home to tell the government that they plan to return home will be deprioritized for detention and removal by immigration enforcement. If you are here illegally, self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest. The Department of Homeland Security is now offering illegal aliens financial travel assistance and a stop and return to the home country through the CBP Home app. Secretary Christian Noem said. I would love to know the numbers on that. And if there's a delay in it, of course, I guess if you give her information, but if there's a delay, they said they would not be prioritized if they wouldn't just do it to. It sounds like, I don't know, it does sound like it works well. We'll see. They're going, I don't know about that one. We'll see what happens. From Israel, Bibi Netanyahu says Israel will relocate Gazans and conquer Hamas. They will intensify. Operations in Gaza will intensify, and Israeli forces will remain in every area they capture. So not just go in and knock buildings down, but stay. He said today in a video message. Speaking on a Q&A video posted to his X account, translated from Hebrew by Ynet, that's an Israeli news service. I've followed them before. Netanyahu said the decision followed a late-night security cabinet meeting and was based on a recommendation from IDF Chief of Staff Zamir. We decided on intensified action in Gaza. That's the IDF's Chief of Staff's recommendation to move toward the defeat of Hamas. Boy, this is going to heat up. He believes this will also help us rescue the hostages. I agree with him. We are not, quote, we are not letting up on this effort. We will not give up on anyone, Netanyahu continued. He added that, unlike in past years, the military would station reserve forces in territories seized during the fighting. There will be movement of the population in order to protect them. No retreat from territory recapture from Hamas and Gaza, not even as part of a hostage agreement. This is a dramatic decision. Once the operation begins, there will be no withdrawal from land we conquer, not for any deal, the finance minister said. The only way to free the hostages is to defeat Hamas. Any retreat would only invite the next October 7th. Get ready for a summer of really hell on earth. Thanks, so. So this is worse when they were pulling people out of Gaza, the territories there, and removing them back. This is going to get really ugly. Communications Minister Shlomo Karki backed the decision, calling it a courageous first step toward total victory. Control of the territory, not raids, decisive victory, destruction of the enemy, and return of the hostages, immigration, not illusion, without hesitation, with power, with God's help. He also took aim at former Defense Minister Gallant, blaming him for resisting calls early in the war to restrict aid to sterile zones free of terrorist control. Only uncompromising military and diplomatic pressure will defeat Hamas and free the hostages. We must destroy Hamas. We must maintain continuous, deep control, not temporary raids. He emphasized that Israel should promote immigration from Gaza as a long-term solution. That goes back to what we heard about a few weeks ago. The real and lasting answer will come only through the full advancement of the immigration plan. Force him until he says, I want it. This is, you don't hear this type of talk very often. Yes, Ernest, rewarding the illegals and not punishing the Dems who brought them in is disappointing. That's why I say I just don't understand. I mean, it's like, it's like something they would do, except the other way. I agree. I just don't understand. And again, I think as many conservatives have talked about, many on Rumble that we're all friends with, and I concur with them, that we thought that this far in, we're over the 100-day mark. We thought there would be a little more action on some things, and we've seen some wavering a little bit. We've been heavy on some other things and very wavering on some things, but we must get this under control. And so now we're going to use an app and pay people $1,000 to. I'm not sure. I just think it's a recipe for disaster. It sounds like another slush fund of some kind. I mean, just saying. We're saving money, but we're giving money. They say it's cost effective, but how many's going to take that up? I mean, honestly. I mean, really, I don't think it's. I could be wrong. I don't think that's effective. I don't think it'll be effective for people. The people be going through an app saying, "Hey, I'm here illegal. I'll take the $1,000 and go back." I don't think that's going to be a massive number. You might have some do it, and probably the people that would do it would be people that have people here. They're always living in fear because they're established here. They say, "Listen, let me go back and handle this the right way." And now they're kind of a door open for that. I can see a few handle it like that. Most of them ain't going to do it. There's a great fear anyway, and misunderstandings, whatever. I mean, they obviously came here illegally. And the ones who came here to jackboot America, they're not going to do it because they're here for nefarious reasons anyway, commit crime and all that. I mean, how many people is actually going to do that? I don't see that as being that just to throw something out there like that on a Monday. Come on. Concluding the remarks from Zohar, a warning to Israel's enemies, referencing the Houthi. I get so sick and tired of the Houthis being mentioned. Their missile strike on Sunday morning near Ben Gurion Airport. Anyone who collaborates with the Houthis will pay a price many times what Israel pays. We know how to hit hard, and that's what we will do. We're fixing this. There is such a. I don't know. You would hope. I support the president. I do. You would hope that we're not setting ourselves up to get into something here that we need to leave alone. Israel is not going to be. They're not going to turn away from this, and they're going to hit Iran too. And we're amping up military in the region to hit the Houthis or whoever. We've been continuing to hit them, I think, daily. Not that they don't deserve it. I'm sick of them, and they need to leave shipping lanes and American forces alone, certainly. But I think the buildup is not just for the Houthis. I think it's for other operations to support Israel and what they're doing. Because Israel's going. There's just no turning. Remember when the Gulf War, you remember the Scuds were coming into Israel? And there was that report. I mean, Israel had the planes fired up and ready to go on the tarmac, and they weren't just dropping little love notes. They were getting ready to unleash hell. And we called them off and guaranteed them that we would take care of it. You know, people forget that Israel was ready. They were ready. You know, everybody knows what Israel has. They never admit to it. They never admit to having nuclear weapons, but they have them. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows about the secret air base in the desert. It's not so secret, but it's underground. The planes disappear. They hit the runway, and then they're protected from the air. But they've got the underground base. Everybody knows that. It's not a secret. Um, and Israel will unleash whatever they have to if they feel like their very existence is on the line. There's no doubt about that, which we would too. But nobody's ever able to answer, and this is my problem. All the way back to when Bibi came and he spoke to Congress, and the Democrats hated it, and he drew the maps of the bomb and everything in Iran and all that. At that time, he said they were 3 months away, as low as 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Well, that's been, what, 3 or 4 years ago. And every time you hear a news report about where Iran is with the enriched uranium and can they put a bomb together and put it on a warhead, a missile and all that, you always hear they're getting close. They're getting close. They're 3 months away. They're 6 months away. It's like the time gap never changes. And I know that they did deep damage to their Natanz facility with the cyber attack that I'm sure that Israel was behind, although there may have been others, and it caused massive damage to their systems. I mean, it crushed a lot. It did delay them. There's no doubt about that. But that was quite a while back, and I don't know if anybody really knows how close they are. How many do we know? Nobody's really saying. If they know, they're not saying. They always say 3 months away, and that's another one. That absolutely is another one, and I haven't drifted there yet. I was certainly going to talk about that. And I mentioned it I mentioned it. I actually was talking to some people about it this morning. It was this morning. We didn't cover a lot of news, but this morning was um, these defensive weapons and stuff to Ukraine. You're right. It's just still getting. I mean, this was supposed to be over. Yeah. What the heck is going on? We were supposed to be out of this. We were supposed to have peace. I mean, listen, I love the president, but he said 2 weeks, pretty much 2 weeks. This thing will be done. It's not happening. And now we're moving out of Israel, brushing up, shining it up, some Patriot missile batteries and stuff, and putting it in there. And then you hear in some of the details, just like we heard over in Gaza, that we were going to play some sort of real estate agent over there. I'm not for that. That there was talk a week or so ago, may have been as much as 2 weeks ago, that the nuclear reactor over there, that really big nuclear reactor in Ukraine, was going to be managed by U.S. people. What? Just more and more, we get more involved, right in the middle of a mess. Just instead of getting better in this area, unless something changes, we're getting more invested. Well, now they can say, "Well, we're going to get the minerals. We got to protect the workers, and we got to protect our people, our all the companies that will come in and be digging and all that. We got to protect those Americans." Well, that's just another way of saying we're going to get involved in war. Because how can you? I mean, you can't be digging for them. Well, maybe in some areas of the country, it depends on where it's at. But we got Russia's flying missiles and drones all over the place. One stray right in the heart of American workers, and it's on. I just the clarity is not there. It seems to move a little bit. President saying he'll walk away. We'll walk away. Well, okay, we ain't walked away. There's still no agreement. There's still no really holding ceasefire. There's all these demands. It just keeps changing. It's an ever changing dynamic that never gets settled. And the president keeps saying we're going to have peace there, or we're going to leave, but we're staying. But we certainly ain't walking away, because now we're putting, as you're correctly mentioned, we're putting more things in there. We're not walking away. We're not turning from it. And Putin is not. I mean, he's pretty. He may be a evil dictator, but or whatever you want to call him, whatever description you want to have for him. But he's certainly not stupid. He reads people pretty well, and he's not fooled by that. Like, well, we're just going to walk away. We're just going to let you have it. You know they wasn't going to do it. He's got intelligence too. They can see what's going on. This region is, and Ernest Dempsey, how much of this is that we're just not hearing about? When we know about the biolabs, we know about other things in that country. This we're so just connected to all this stuff. I don't think we can walk away. We should be able to, but we can't. There's too many people got connections here. There's too many things that's going on, secret things, military things, CIA. There's stuff going on here that's we're not being told. I mean, we have read the stories or the news, but they're really being very coy about this. So we're hitting the Houthis. Israel's hitting the Houthis. And the U.S. Navy moves another warship near Iran. The USS Meleus. Hope I said that right. A guided missile destroyer in the Middle East region within striking distance of Iran. They say they're patrolling in support of the USS Carl Vinson, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. Well, my God, we can't even protect aircraft carriers. I mean, we lost not off that one, but we lost an aircraft off the side when they're avoiding Houthi missiles. That still baffles me. We had the carrier that was hit by a cargo ship, a freaking cargo ship. I would just like to hear some clarity here. I mean, we see a lot of buildup. We hear a lot about movements. We hear we're going to walk away, but it's like we're signaling we're going one way, but we're sending in, and we got extra things going in the region. This thing has got the ability, unfortunately, to blow up in such a bad way that we're going to unleash something that we don't want to be a part of. Amen. Amen. I just don't see, I mean, it's like every day there's a new article about we're hitting the Houthis. We're the Iran question. We got the Gaza situation going on. We're moving extra things in there. We got aircraft following the sea. You know, we're basically on bombing runs every day in the region with either drones, missiles, or aircraft delivering those payloads. And at what point do we have ongoing operation like this. It's not something you do and then I know you hit, then you assess the damage and you go back and you clean up, you get what you missed. What's the end game? I mean, where are we going with this? I just feel uneasy about it. As an American, I just feel uneasy because every time we get involved in something in the Middle East, it's not good. And listen, I know Israel's our ally and all that, but just where does this going? The region could be aflame in a very short order. And I said, there's some people around the president, I don't trust them. I think they're snakes. And I've never said names, but I think there's some people on the face side. I'll be honest with you. I think where some of this is coming from, I think there's some people that are using their position as a faith leader to direct the president in this greater. This is my opinion, Dave the AM. I believe that there are some there that are doing the whispers in his ear that he's, this is God's mission. We know the end result, and you're here for such a time as this. Basically, is the kind of talk, because he seems like he's catering to that instead of getting pulled away and taking care of American interests and other things like China. We're getting more involved, and these people. I just think there's some people there that they're misleading the president. I could be wrong. All this I could be wrong on, but my gut just tells me there's something going on, and he's listening to some really bad advice. And we know he's got some people that are around him, family even, that is surely driving this on a diplomatic side, foreign diplomacy and all that. I mean, we don't know there's people on the ground over there working hand in hand with the Israelis, but you got to be careful with this. It just has a lot of ability to blow up in their faces. Ernest says the whole point seems to be that America needs to pour more billions in the military because we have to save the world. And, there's a lot of people, question that, where we're at. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely right. All those who were confirmed, actually, remember they won't confirm. Matt Getz or Dr. David Weldon for CDC. Well, and we know, and Getz would have taken action. There's no doubt he was going to take action. He would have got some stuff done. He will stand up. And some of these that have been moved into these positions are not showing that kind of tenacity, not even close. They talk a big game. Oh, they hit the talk shows. They're about ready to write some books. But where's the action? I just want to hear. We need to have some clarity. I think the president owes. I know you don't tell your whole hand. I get it, but it seems like we're like just moving as other things happen. We're sort of dancing with it, and we pull away a little bit, and we get a little deeper, and then it just sort of sways back and forth. And I just don't see an end game. Where's the end game to it? I don't want nothing to do with Gaza as America. I don't want nothing to do with it. That's a United Nations hellhole. I mean, they've kept those camps alive for all these years, Janine and others like them. And they kept these people caged like animals. You talk about Israel. The United Nations has kept this going all these years and poured a lot of our money, because it's billions of dollars that have been poured into there to feed, clothe, all that stuff. And all they are is terrorist proving grounds. And they have no voting rights. They're not a member of any nation, because that's not a nation. They can't move anywhere. They're stuck there. And they just keep raising up more terrorists. The next Hamas members and people for the liberation of Palestine and Hezbollah and whatever. They got a never-ending supply, and the UN's right there just stroking it right along. Makes me sick. And a lot of it, again, is our money, our support to that. After all this time, think about it, folks. After all this time, decades, there's no answer. And we're not walking into something we're going to get an easy answer on. We're walking into a trap. This thing has been held. It's absolute hell. It's hell what's went on. And the United Nations has to bear their part in it. What was your answer, United Nations? And the nations of the world. How about the Arab states? What's your answer to this? You just keep this thing inflamed where, everybody dies? Everybody just unleashes, whatever they got, one final big blow up. I know you hate Israel, but honestly, it's going to hurt you. My God. Same with Korea. What the heck? I get it, bases around the world, but we're still sitting on a powder keg after all this time with over 30,000 troops. We couldn't solve that by now. South Koreans couldn't defend that themselves by now. I mean, after 60 or 80 years, whatever it is, I mean, 80 years, I guess, you couldn't figure out a plan. It's over 60 for sure. You couldn't figure out a plan that we could pull ourselves away from that. At any moment, that could be war, and we're right in the middle of it. And we're supposed to be there to keep the police action from or whatever keep it calm. But if something breaks out, we're right in the middle of it again. You're right on that. Senate GOP agreed to Bondi would never approve Getz. Yeah, they were wanting him out. They never liked him. He was never an insider. He was an outsider. He was one of the seven. They never wanted that guy. Bondi is a painted version of Bill Barr. Oh, everybody just fell in love with her, right? Oh, look at what she done in her job in Florida. Oh, she's going to come in. She's going to lay the law down. It's not happened. Softy. Remember all the talk? I am your retribution. Ah, the tiger, baby. Where's that? If you're scared, say so. I mean, our country's in trouble. I mean, it's the division, the fraud, the all the things that have happened, just illegal activities. I mean, somebody's got to go to jail, right? I mean, some people got to go to jail. I mean, they were talking about locking up the MAGA people and putting them in camps and stuff. We're just going to ignore that. Like they were ready to start, declaring all of us mentally ill so they could take our weapons. They making laws you couldn't, protest in certain places. You go to jail for years. Grandmas. They were denying the rights of prisoners to their rights, and still are doing it. He does. He does. Oh, wow. And yes, the immediate things that need to happen, it's very important that they happen. But the midterms are coming. Let me tell you something. We're going to have on soon. I talked to them today. Uh, I won't say a name yet because we got to arrange the interview. I know them. They used to be elected official, still connected, very much connected. And what I said about Georgia, they absolutely agreed with that Georgia's in trouble, election wise. Not the conservative areas, but overall as a state. This state's on a teetering. It could turn blue quickly. GOP infighting, different things going on. This we got to get a lot of things settled because I'm gonna tell you the fight within some of these states, the big states. I mean, I don't think two of them would flip. I mean, Florida, Texas, you know, lot of important senates. The governor in Florida, a lot of important senatorial elections. I mean, it's really something to pay attention to. He's got to get things done, but then he don't need a mess going on during the midterms. That's for sure. It's going to put a lot of pressure on some Republicans in their races. Now's the time for action. Now, quit letting this stuff drift on.